In a colony nestled on the fringes of a remote planet, where sunlight filtered through a shroud of dust and despair, Sam awoke to the sound of a frantic beeping. He blinked against the glare of his overhead light, disoriented, and pushed himself upright. Groggy from an unsettling dream about a talking sandwich, he ran his fingers through his hair, only to recoil in horror. Antennas. He had actual, honest-to-goodness antennas sprouting from his head. Great, he muttered, a mix of disbelief and resignation flooding his veins. Just what I needed, a pair of bug ears to go with my sad, bug-infested life. With a sigh, he grabbed a hand mirror from the rickety bedside table and inspected his reflection. The antennas were long and twitchy, like a couple of overzealous rubber bands. It would have been funny if it wasn't so tragic. His thoughts were interrupted by a loud crash from the common area. "Milo," he shouted, throwing on a shirt that had seen better days. With each step, his antennas bobbed awkwardly, causing him to feel like a deranged marionette. As he stumbled into the common area, he was met with the sight of Milo, the colony's resident drama king, sprawled dramatically on the floor amidst a pile of overturned crates. "I am dying, Sam. The roof is collapsing. The bugs are coming for us." He clutched his chest, mock gasping for air. "Dude, it's just some supplies," Sam replied, rolling his eyes. "And look at me, I'm the one who's been mutated overnight." He pointed to his antennas, which wobbled like they were auditioning for a circus act. Tina, their ever-optimistic biologist friend, entered next. "Wow, Sam. I think you've really found your niche. You can be our bug ambassador now." She laughed, adjusting her own oversized goggles, which made her look like a cartoon character. Just then, Elliot, the grumpy mechanic with a perpetual scowl, shuffled in, taking in the scene with a raised eyebrow. "You lot are ridiculous. Why are you celebrating mutations like it's a birthday party?" "Because, Elliot," Sam said, smirking, "we're finally part of something bigger. We're mutants. We could take on the Zerg. Or you could stop breaking my supplies," Elliot grumbled, shoving a stray crate back into place. As laughter filled the room, Sam couldn't help but feel a swell of camaraderie. For the first time since the invasion of the Zerg, they were not just survivors, they were a team. Their light-hearted banter was short-lived, however, as they were reminded of their dire situation. The Zerg had taken over their colony, and every day was a struggle against the oppressive rule of the alien insectoids. Sam glanced at the makeshift map on the wall, marked with red circles indicating where Zerg patrols were most active. "What if," Tina proposed, "our mutations are somehow connected to the Zerg? Maybe we're evolving to fight back." Her eyes sparkled with excitement. "Or maybe we're just turning into giant cockroaches," Milo chimed in, dramatically pulling at his hair. "Sam's going to start crawling up the walls." Sam chuckled, but beneath the humor lay an inkling of truth. Perhaps their transformations were more than just a cosmic joke. Perhaps they were meant to be the front line in a war they didn't choose. Days turned into weeks as they navigated their newfound abilities. Sam discovered he could communicate with bugs, albeit awkwardly, learning to ask them for help, which usually resulted in a lot of confused buzzing. Tina, with her brilliant mind, experimented with her regeneration abilities, accidentally growing an extra arm that she had to hide under her lab coat. Milo turned his dramatic flair into a new career as the colony's unofficial cheerleader, rallying everyone with over-the-top pep talks that somehow kept morale high. Elliot remained the reluctant but essential backbone of their efforts, grumbling but always providing the tools they needed. As they bonded over their absurdities, they started to gather information about the Zerg. They learned of a legendary queen who controlled the hive, a being shrouded in mystery and dread. And with each story, Sam felt a growing sense of purpose. One day, as they sat around a makeshift table littered with odd gadgets and discarded food wrappers, Iris appeared, a woman cloaked in shadows, with a glint of knowledge in her eyes. "I know what you're after," she said, her voice low and serious. "And I can help you." Sam exchanged glances with his friends, a mix of excitement and trepidation coursing through him. "What do you know about the Zerg?" he asked, leaning forward. "They are not just mindless creatures," Iris explained, her tone grave. "The Queen holds the key to their power. She controls everything. But you," she pointed at Sam, "you've been altered in ways you don't yet understand. Your mutations are a bridge between your world and theirs." Sam's heart raced. He felt like he was standing on the precipice of something monumental. "What do you mean? You're not just survivors. You're potential leaders in a fight for freedom." Iris's eyes glimmered with a mixture of hope and urgency. "But you must embrace what you've become." As the days passed, they trained and strategized, weaving humor into their preparations. Sam attempted to harness his bug communication skills, much to the annoyance of a particularly stubborn ant that seemed to have taken a liking to him. "Sam, maybe you should try asking it nicely," Tina suggested, stifling a giggle. "Hey, I'm a bug ambassador, remember? I'll charm it." Sam replied, puffing up his chest, only to find himself tumbling backward as the ants scurried away. As the day of their mission to infiltrate the Zerg hive approached, Sam felt a mix of anxiety and excitement. They had all grown in ways they never imagined. Milo was ready with his theatrical flair, Tina with her gadgets, and Elliot with his mechanical prowess. Together, they formed a motley crew destined to face the unknown. With their plan set, they donned makeshift disguises and gathered their courage. Sam could hear the distant hum of the hive, an unsettling melody of insectoid activity. As they approached the entrance, he felt the weight of their collective fears and hopes. "All right, team," he said, rallying his friends. "Remember, we're not just doing this for us. We're fighting for everyone left in this colony. Let's show them what we're made of." Milo shouted, throwing his arms in the air like a conductor before an orchestra. As they crossed the threshold into the darkness of the hive, they knew one thing for sure: the battle for their home had just begun. As they crossed the threshold into the darkness of the hive, a chill skittered down Sam's spine. The walls pulsated with a faint bioluminescent glow, illuminating a grotesque landscape of writhing forms and buzzing energy. It was both terrifying and oddly beautiful, like stepping into a living organism. "Stick close together," he whispered, glancing at his friends. The shadows danced around them, and the air was thick with the scent of something sweet yet rancid, a testament to the hive's unnatural life. "And remember our roles. We're here to gather intel, not get squashed." They moved cautiously through the corridors, every sound amplified in the eerie stillness. Sam's antennas twitched, sensing the vibrations around them. "I think I can feel the Zerg nearby," he murmured. "It's like they're communicating." "Great, we've got a bug telepath on our hands," Milo joked under his breath, trying to ease the tension. Tina's eyes sparkled behind her goggles as she pulled out a small device. "Let's see if we can detect any signals. Maybe we can track the Queen's location." She fiddled with the buttons, and a series of beeps echoed through the corridor. "Got it. This way." They followed her lead, moving deeper into the hive. As they navigated the winding passages, Sam's thoughts raced. What would they find? Was the Queen as monstrous as the stories suggested? And what did it mean for him, a mutant with a connection to these creatures? Suddenly, a loud hiss echoed from behind them, followed by a series of rapid clicks. Sam turned, eyes wide, just in time to see a group of Zerg warriors emerging from the shadows. Their chitinous exoskeletons glistened ominously, and their multifaceted eyes glared with malice. "Run!" Sam shouted, adrenaline surging. They bolted down the corridor, heart pounding in sync with the clicking of mandibles behind them. "Why does it always have to be running?" Milo yelled, his dramatic flair momentarily forgotten. "Can't we negotiate? I'm a great public speaker." "Not now." Elliot snapped, pulling a wrench from his belt and preparing to defend his friends. "Just keep moving." They darted through twisting passages, the sound of their pursuers echoing off the walls. Sam felt the tension mount, but amid the chaos, he sensed something. A strange connection to the Zerg, a whisper in the back of his mind. He hesitated for a moment, then spun around, facing their attackers. Wait. I think I can talk to them, he shouted over his shoulder. Now is not the time for a heart-to-heart. Tina exclaimed, but Sam felt compelled to try. He focused, tuning into the vibrations in the air, feeling the energy radiating from the warriors. Stop. We mean you no harm, he called, his voice steady despite the fear that twisted in his gut. The Zerg halted, their movements stuttering as they processed his words. To Sam's surprise, one of the warriors stepped forward, tilting its head as if trying to understand. You speak, it buzzed, the sound reverberating through Sam's mind. Yes. We're not your enemies. We're here to learn about your queen, Sam replied, heart racing. His friends stared in disbelief, but he pressed on, feeling a strange confidence. We just want to understand. The warrior paused, antennae flicking as it considered Sam's words. After a tense moment, it gestured for them to follow. Come. Are we seriously following a bug? Milo whispered, still skeptical. Trust me, Sam replied, glancing back at his friends. This might be our chance to gather information. They trailed behind the warrior, weaving through the hive's labyrinthine corridors. Sam's heart pounded, a mix of hope and anxiety. This was not what he had anticipated. They had been ready for a fight, but now they were stepping into the unknown, into the heart of the enemy. As they approached a massive chamber, the air thickened with a palpable energy. The walls shimmered with bioluminescence, revealing a sight that made their jaws drop. There, in the center of the chamber, sat the queen, a gargantuan being, her body glistening like polished obsidian, pulsating with power. The Zerg warrior stepped aside, allowing them to enter. The queen regarded them with a gaze that felt both piercing and all-knowing. You seek knowledge, she buzzed, her voice a low hum that resonated in Sam's bones. But knowledge comes with a price. Sam swallowed hard. We want to understand why you took over our colony. We just want to survive. Survival is a primitive instinct, the queen replied, her multiple eyes narrowing. But you, mutant, you are different. You bridge our worlds. I can communicate with insects, Sam said, his voice gaining strength. We're not here to destroy. We want to coexist. The queen's gaze sharpened, and for a moment, the chamber fell silent. The weight of her presence was overwhelming, and Sam felt as if he were standing before a force of nature. To coexist, you must understand the purpose of my kind. What purpose? Tina asked, stepping forward, her voice trembling but resolute. The Zerg exist to ensure the balance of life. We are the custodians of this world, and your kind disrupts that balance. Sam's mind raced. But we didn't know. We were just trying to live our lives. We didn't understand the consequences. The queen considered this, her form shifting slightly. Your ignorance has cost you dearly. Yet, I sense potential within you. Perhaps your mutations can teach your people to adapt. Adapt? Sam echoed, his heart leaping at the possibility. What do you mean? If you embrace your differences, you can be a new breed, part of both worlds. But you must choose. What kind of choice? Sam asked, his mind swirling. Join me, and learn from the Zerg. Together, we can create a new colony, one that respects the balance. Milo, still skeptical, stepped forward. And what if we refuse? What happens then? The queen's expression darkened. Then you will be destroyed, along with the rest of your kind. Choose wisely." The weight of her words hung heavy in the air. Sam glanced at his friends, who wore expressions of disbelief and concern. This was a chance, but at what cost? He thought of his life before the invasion, the mundane worries that now felt so trivial. "What if we can find a middle ground?" Sam proposed, feeling a surge of determination. "What if we can help educate both our people and yours? Show them that we can coexist without harming the balance?" The Queen's expression softened slightly, though her gaze remained scrutinizing. "You are bold, mutant. Your kind has seldom proposed such ideas. But it will take more than words to bridge our worlds." "I'm willing to try," Sam replied, feeling the stirrings of hope ignite within him. "I know we can do this. Together." The Queen's antennae flickered, and the air crackled with tension. "Very well. Prove your commitment. Show me your willingness to embrace what you've become, and perhaps we can begin to build a new path." Sam felt a mix of excitement and dread. The journey ahead was uncertain, but for the first time, he could see a flicker of light in the dark expanse of their situation. He turned to his friends, who looked at him with a mix of hope and fear. "What do you think?" he asked, his voice steady. "I'm in," Tina said, her eyes shining with determination. "This is our chance." Milo, ever the dramatist, nodded, a fierce glint in his eye. "Let's show them what we're made of." Elliot sighed, but a small smile tugged at the corners of his mouth. "If it means survival, count me in." As they stood together, united in purpose, Sam felt the weight of the decision settle upon him. He had entered the hive as a confused survivor, a mutant navigating the complexities of his new reality. But now, he stood on the brink of something greater, a chance to reshape not only his fate but that of both their worlds. The Queen observed them, a flicker of approval crossing her many eyes. "Then let us begin the journey. Embrace your mutations. Learn the ways of the Zerg, and perhaps, together, we can find a path to coexistence." And with that, Sam and his friends took their first steps toward a future filled with uncertainty but also brimming with potential. In a world where the lines between enemies and allies blurred, they would discover what it truly meant to adapt, to change, and to thrive against all odds. As they immersed themselves in the teachings of the Zerg, they found strength in their differences. Sam learned to communicate on deeper levels, to understand the intricate web of life that connected them all. Tina experimented with her regenerative powers, discovering ways to help both humans and insects. Milo transformed his flair for the dramatic into a means of storytelling that bridged the gaps between cultures. Elliot used his mechanical skills to enhance their communication devices, ensuring that knowledge flowed freely between their worlds. Slowly, the colony began to change. The Zerg warriors, once hostile, became allies, training alongside Sam and his friends. They forged bonds through shared experiences, laughter, and even moments of vulnerability. Sam found himself at the center of this transformation, an unexpected leader navigating the complexities of this new alliance. The journey was fraught with challenges, but as time passed, Sam and his friends grew stronger. They faced external threats together, defending their colony against rogue Zerg factions that resisted change. With each victory, their unity deepened, and the dream of coexistence moved closer to reality. One day, as they gathered in the heart of the hive, the Queen addressed them. "You have proven your commitment, your willingness to learn and adapt. It is time to solidify our alliance." Sam's heart raced as he stepped forward. "What do we need to do?" "We will host a gathering," the Queen explained, her tone regal. "A celebration of our union, where both our peoples can share their stories, their cultures, and their visions for the future. Excitement buzzed through the air. This was a monumental step, a chance to change perceptions and build lasting connections. Sam could hardly believe how far they had come. As preparations began, the atmosphere shifted from tension to joy. The hive, once a place of fear, transformed into a vibrant space filled with laughter and music. Sam marveled at how they had turned their circumstances around, and he felt a renewed sense of purpose. On the day of the gathering, both humans and Zerg filled the chamber, an eclectic mix of cultures and ideas. Sam stood before them, heart pounding with anticipation. He looked at his friends, who nodded encouragement. This was their moment. "Thank you all for being here," Sam began, his voice steady. "We stand together today, not just as humans and insects, but as allies and friends. We have learned from one another, and together, we will forge a new path." As he spoke, he glanced at the Queen, who observed with an approving gaze. He felt a rush of warmth and hope, knowing that they were all part of something larger than themselves. They were no longer merely survivors, they were architects of a new future. The gathering unfolded with stories, music, and laughter. Humans shared tales of their struggles, while Zerg warriors recounted their history and purpose. Sam watched as connections blossomed, as barriers crumbled, and as understanding filled the space. It was a celebration of life in all its forms, a testament to resilience, adaptation, and the beauty of diversity. Sam couldn't help but smile, feeling a profound sense of gratitude for the journey they had undertaken together. As the night drew to a close, Sam found himself standing beside the Queen. "Thank you for believing in us," he said, his voice filled with sincerity. "This wouldn't have been possible without your guidance." The Queen inclined her head, her many eyes glimmering. "You have proven that coexistence is possible, even in the most unlikely of circumstances. May our alliance flourish." As the first stars twinkled outside the hive, Sam realized that they had not just survived, they had thrived. They had transformed from victims of circumstance into pioneers of a new era. And as they stood together, united in purpose and friendship, Sam knew that this was only the beginning. With laughter echoing around them, they stepped into the future, together.